How therapy works for narcissistic abuse. I recently saw this incredible video that had gone viral where this young girl, 4 years old, is getting her hair done, and she tells the woman doing her hair that she thinks she's ugly. And then what happens next is just so heartwarming, and it's also a beautiful illustration of how good therapy works to heal scapegoat survivors of narcissistic abuse. Well, in today's video, I'm going to give a brief overview of how therapy works, at least from the perspective of a certain type of therapy that I practice in working with scapegoat survivors of narcissistic abuse. Next, I'm going to show the entire clip of what happened here, and then I'm going to walk through the clip with some commentary to highlight how similar it is to the process of therapy for scapegoat survivors of narcissistic abuse. Well, my name is Jay Reed, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist in San Francisco, California, and I specialize in helping clients recover from parents or partners with personality disorders. And today's video focuses on the process of recovery from being abused by a parent or a partner with narcissistic personality disorder. And the process of recovery, particularly from having a parent with narcissistic personality disorder, can be the same whether it's in therapy or through my online course on recovery from narcissistic abuse or the accompanying private Facebook community, where we take a three-pronged approach to recovery that involves making sense of what happened, gaining distance from the narcissistic abuser, and living in defiance of the narcissist rules. And I think today's video is going to fall under the category of making sense of what happened. And if you were a scapegoat survivor of a narcissistic parent or partner, then I encourage you to check out my free ebook on the topic. It's called Surviving Narcissistic Abuse as the Scapegoat, and it goes into other really important aspects of what it's like to be in the shoes of the scapegoated child or partner of the narcissistic abuser. It addresses some of the self-constricting beliefs that need to be adopted to survive this kind of abuse, to why the narcissistic personality is so geared to put those closest to them down. And I think that this ebook can help you realize how none of this abuse was your fault, but was rather the product of the narcissist's own pathology. And you can find the link to the book in the description below or by clicking here. And if you visit the site and it doesn't look like there's a place to put your email address in, I'd encourage you to give it just a few seconds, and sometimes it can take some of those seconds to show up. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you're alerted when I post new videos on this type of content. So, how therapy works for narcissistic abuse. Okay, so first I want to give a really quick overview of how therapy works for a scapegoat survivor of narcissistic abuse. And good therapy from this theory of therapy called control mastery theory really comes down to four questions. First is, what are this particular client's goals? Next are, what beliefs, conscious or unconscious, might be standing in their way? Third are, how are those beliefs useful to adopt earlier in their lives, typically in relationships to one or more parents? And fourth is, how can the therapist and client best work together in order to generate information in and out of the sessions that lets the client know it is now safe to defy these beliefs? And it's important to emphasize that the issue of psychological and emotional safety versus danger is woven through these four questions. And the premise is that as humans, we're motivated to act in ways that are more likely to achieve safety and to avoid danger in our most important relationships. And so when you're the scapegoated child of a narcissistically abusive parent, then there's not a whole lot of safety being offered you in that relationship. So for most scapegoated children, making simple human mistakes often became occasions for the narcissistic parent to attack the child's character, integrity, or their dignity. As a result, it can become necessary for the child to adopt beliefs such as, if the child makes a mistake, then he or she is defective and undeserving of protection. So a scapegoat child who comes to this conclusion won't protest when her narcissistically abusive parent berates, rages at, and/or attacks her character. And this lack of protest may actually increase the narcissistic parent's goodwill towards the child, because the parent is implicitly being told that the parent is right in their abusive behavior. And of course, a narcissistic parent can feel further inflated by feeling correct. So in this way, a belief as painful as this one can actually help the scapegoated child avoid worse dangers, such as the parent growing even more irate or contemptuous and hostile towards the child for not complying with the parent's accusations. But the biggest danger this belief helps the child avoid is the loss of relationship to the narcissistic parent. And that's what all kids are programmed to avoid at all costs, no matter how mistreated they feel by that parent. And as a result, a child may learn that a condition for relationships is to believe that they do not deserve protection from the other person. So if someone starts to mistreat them, then they must just accept it. That's just the way it is for them. Otherwise, they may believe they get to have no relationships. So in essence, in this theory of therapy, we want to understand what each client thinks they need to believe about themselves in order for the other person to be willing to stay in relationship to them. And then the second very important question is, how is the client going to work in the therapy to disprove this very grim belief about themselves? Well, there's another piece to this theory that I think contains a lot of good news, which posits that we all maintain a plan to disconfirm these grim beliefs about ourselves once we can determine it's safe enough to do so. And this is where therapy comes in. The goal of therapy is for the therapist and client to establish a working relationship where the client feels safe enough to identify, test, and hopefully disconfirm these types of beliefs. And like in the example I was talking about earlier, the client who believes he's undeserving of protection might show up late for a session and expect to be criticized or attacked for doing so. If the therapist remains empathic and either doesn't make a big deal at all, or maybe inquires from the stance of wanting to make sure the client, have his full time, but the therapist doesn't take personal offense to the client's lateness, or kind of berate the client, of course, for such a sort of normal human mistake, then the client may get some evidence which goes against his belief that he doesn't deserve protection when he makes a mistake. And as the client grows to feel safer and safer with these types of instances where, the punishment he was used to getting for just being a fallible human doesn't happen with the therapist, and they get to explicitly talk about that, then another way he may test his belief with the therapist is to talk about the times in his life when he was attacked by his narcissistic parent for these supposed mistakes, to see whose side the therapist takes. So if the therapist reacts with astonishment at the narcissistic parent's cruelty towards the client and emphasizes the pathology of the narcissistic parent, in their reaction to the client, then this can be another piece of evidence that helps disconfirm the client's belief that if he makes a mistake, then he's undeserving of protection. And it shifts, in this example, the client's understanding of what happened to the fact that he was just being abused by someone with a deep psychological problem themselves, his parent. So that's how a therapist and client can work together to disconfirm the client's painful beliefs that are derived from being the scapegoat to a narcissistically abusive parent. It's a process and it usually takes time, but I want to show a video today that encapsulates the process in just a few minutes. And I think it's just a really beautiful example of healing. So I'm going to play it without speaking, or not in its entirety. It's about 12 minutes. So I'll show the first 3 minutes. So you get a full kind of sense of the weight of this interaction. And I want to thank the YouTube user, I am Eloho, for posting this. And you can check out her YouTube channel with a link in the description box below, or by clicking here. And then after the clip, I'm going to walk through how it illustrates the way good therapy for narcissistic abuse works. So here goes.
So ugly. What? Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. You are so pretty. Shut up. Go in the room. When you look at yourself, you supposed to say, I'm so pretty. You are so pretty. Do you hear me? You got the prettiest little dimples. You are too cute. You gonna make me cry. You're not ugly. Baby girl. ugly. Baby girl. You are so pretty. You are like, you have this beautiful chocolate skin. Like, you are just so gorgeous. You got these dimples. Remember what I told you? How many people got 2 dimples? Nobody. You got 2. Let me see you smile. Let me see. You got 2 dimples. I don't even have 2 dimples. Girl, let me see your teeth. Look at them pretty white teeth. No, you're not gonna cry. You are a beautiful little girl, and you are pretty. You are the prettiest girl in your class. Boom. Tell them straight up. When you go to school tomorrow, you got your hair done. You're gonna be like, oh, look at my hair. Oh, look at my shoes. Look at my clothes, baby girl. You are beautiful. Black is beautiful. And if don't nobody ever tell you, I will tell you, you are gorgeous. You are so pretty. And you're going to grow up and you're going to be everything that you can be. You're going to be the greatest nail tech, the greatest beautician, the greatest lawyer, the greatest doctor, the greatest teacher, whatever you want to be, the greatest speaker, the greatest entrepreneur, whatever. What you want to be? What you want to be when you get older? Oh, the teacher. You want to be? Your teacher mean to you? So guess what? When you become a teacher, you don't be mean. You be a nice teacher. You gonna be Miss Cotton. That's what they gonna call you. Miss Cotton. You gotta be happy all the time because you're a little kid. You only 4, and you should not know nothing about being ugly because you are so beautiful. You hold your head up. You hold your head up. Okay? Okay? Have a hug. I love you. You're so pretty. You got a beautiful heart, and you just have some good manners. Come on, let's finish your hair, girl. Come on, we ain't got no choice. We ready to get out this chair. Come on.
What a powerful video, huh? Well, now I'm going to walk through it and pause it at times to just kind of add some commentary about just how it mirrors the way good therapy works.
It's so ugly. What? Don't say that.
So what a statement for this little girl of such a constricting belief when she says, "I'm so ugly," right out the gate. And I don't think that the girl would have said this if she didn't feel safe enough with the woman who's doing her hair. You know, whether it's the woman's warmth conveyed in her voice or obvious care about the child. I really don't think the child would have brought this belief forward if she didn't have cause for hope that the woman might help her with it. So let's continue watching.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. You are so pretty. You all shut up. Go in the room.
And how does the woman respond? Well, she reacts with feeling pain that the little girl believes this about herself. And she tells the other kids in the room to go into the other room, which I think thereby is protecting the little girl from, maybe getting teased by them or having, attention that would be unwanted to the little girl in this vulnerable moment. So the woman is acting protectively for the little girl. And these are all important ways that the woman is disconfirming the little girl's belief. So the woman, the hairdresser, is emphatically starting to send the message that the little girl does not need to think of herself as ugly in order to be in relationship with this woman.
When you look at yourself, you're supposed to say, "I'm so pretty." You are so pretty. Do you hear me? You got the prettiest little dimples. You are too cute. Oh.
So in that clip, you see the woman showing the child evidence of how beautiful the little girl really is. She shines a light on the girl's real qualities, in this case, her dimples. And that's when the girl starts to cry.
No, you gonna make me cry. You're not ugly. Oh my God, Ariana, you're not ugly. Baby girl. Girl.
You see how the woman holds and comforts the child as she cries. And this is such a great illustration of how we often only cry once we know that the danger has passed. And I think that it's the woman's actions earlier that made the girl feel safe enough to question her belief that she's ugly. And, I think as that maybe sunk in, the little girl gets to let go of all the pain she's had to carry around in having to believe this about herself. And that's a central principle of control mastery theory, that we only feel the brunt of what we need to feel when we're convinced that the danger has passed. And in this case, the danger is that the girl will lose someone she needs if she gives up the belief that she's ugly. And this woman is giving her so much evidence to the contrary, which we could say, or I could say, it could offer the understanding that may be because the little girl finds it safe enough to now let go of this belief and to release all the emotion of pain and suffering she's had to endure by believing this about herself.
Pretty, you are like, you have this beautiful chocolate skin. Like, you are just so gorgeous. You got these dimples. Remember what I told you? How many people got 2 dimples? Nobody. You got 2. Let me see you smile. Let me see. You got 2 dimples. I don't even have 2 dimples. Girl, let me see your teeth. Look at them pretty white teeth. No, you're not going to cry. You are a beautiful little girl, and you are pretty. You are the prettiest girl in your class. Boom. Tell them straight up. When you go to school tomorrow, you got your hair done. You're going to be like, oh, look at my hair. Oh, look at my shoes. Look at my clothes, baby girl. You are beautiful. Black is beautiful. And if don't nobody ever tell you, I will tell you, you are gorgeous. You are so pretty. And you're going to grow up and you're going to be everything that you can be. You're going to be the greatest nail tech, the greatest beautician, the greatest lawyer, the greatest doctor, the greatest teacher, whatever you want to be, the greatest speaker, the greatest entrepreneur, whatever. What you want to be? What you want to be when you get older?
The teacher.
You want to be? Your teacher mean to you? So guess what? When you become a teacher, you don't be mean. You be a nice teacher. You gonna be Miss Cotton. That's what they gonna call you. Miss Cotton. You gotta be happy all the time because you're a little kid. You only 4, and you should not know nothing about being ugly because you are so beautiful. You hold your head up. You hold your head up. Okay? Okay? Have a hug. I love you. You're so pretty. You got a beautiful heart and you just have some good manners. Come on, let's finish your hair, girl.
So you see how the woman continues to just highlight who the little girl actually is. That she's so pretty, that she has a good heart and good manners, and that she gets to do whatever she wants to do in life. Well, thank you again to the YouTube channel I Am Eloho for posting this incredible video. And I hope that it's been helpful to understand how therapy should feel and work when you're in recovery from narcissistic abuse. And if you want to go into even greater depth on how to free yourself from these kinds of beliefs that often result from narcissistic abuse, then I'd encourage you to check out my online course on recovery from narcissistic abuse. And in Module 5 in the course, it specifically addresses this topic and goes through some of the common beliefs that survivors of narcissistic abuse often hold, and explains how you can work to free yourself from them in your own life. And you can find the link to the course in the description box below or by clicking here. Well, thanks for watching today and for your continued awesome engagement with the channel, in the comment section and so forth. I really appreciate, all the comments you make, and particularly the support offered to one another. It feels almost like community that kind of shows up each week. And with that, I look forward to posting again next Sunday. Take care.